The stars were never meant to be kind. Out here, in the cold expanse between worlds, survival isn't a promise, it's a fight. And right now, aboard the crippled interstellar cruiser Eclipse, that fight is all that's left. Picture this, a ship adrift above the toxic hellscape of Xerxis-IV, its hull groaning under the weight of damage no vessel was built to withstand. Acid rain eats through reinforced metal like it's paper. The air outside, pure poison, and those sounds in the distance, not wind, not thunder, predators, hungry, relentless, and waiting. This is a planet every other species in the galaxy marked with one word: uninhabitable. Yet here they are, Captain Elias Voss and what's left of his crew, standing in the wreckage of their own ship, staring down the impossible. They wrote us off the moment we crashed here, Voss growls, his voice cutting through the chaos. But we'll prove them wrong. It's more than defiance, it's a declaration, because humanity has always had this flaw, this refusal to accept the universe's rules. When the odds say no, we say watch us, and that's the story we're about to unfold. Not just a tale of survival, but of defiance so audacious it rewrites what's possible. Think about it, every great leap in our history started with someone staring into the abyss and laughing. Fire tamed it, oceans crossed them, space conquered, but Xerxis-IV, this is different. This isn't just another frontier, it's a death sentence dressed up as a planet, and yet here we are. So how does it happen? How do humans, fragile and flawed, outlast a world designed to kill them? Strap in. Because what comes next isn't just science fiction, it's a mirror. A reflection of that stubborn, brilliant, terrifying spark inside us all. The one that looks at the impossible and whispers, "Try me." The wreckage groans behind them as the crew stumbles onto the cracked surface of Xerxis-IV, boots sinking into soil that hisses underfoot. Acidic fog clings to Mara Kivan's visor, distorting her view, but not enough to miss the flicker of movement. Shapes detach from the razor-edged rocks, 6 legs moving in eerie unison, their eyes pulsing like dying stars. She doesn't need a xenobiology manual to know what that means. Predators, evolved for this hellscape, perimeter formation. Now, Voss's voice is raw static in their helmets, but they move, backs pressing together as the creatures close in. The largest one lets out a sound like grinding metal, and that's all the warning they get. The first lunge is a blur of chitin and claws, but Mara's training kicks in. She fires not at the body, where armor gleams like oil-slick stone, but at those glowing eyes. The creature shrieks, recoiling, and for a heartbeat there's hope. Then the ground shudders, not an earthquake, something deeper, rhythmic. Footsteps, the pack scatters, vanishing into the fog with unnatural speed. They're not running from us, someone breathes. That's when they see it, a shadow taller than the wrecked Eclipse, moving through the acid storm like a mountain come alive. Voss's grip tightens on his rifle. New rules, we don't just survive this place, we outsmart it. Because that's the thing about humanity, give us a predator and we'll learn its weakness. Give us a monster and we'll find a way to make it flinch, even here, especially here. The crew doesn't know it yet, but they've just met the real Xerxis-IV. And it's not the planet trying to kill them, it's what the planet grew to stop them. The sky cracks open with a sound like shattering glass as the emerald storm descends, turning the world into a hissing, corrosive nightmare. Acid rain hammers the fractured remains of their shelter, eating through metal and plastic like they're made of sugar. Jax Torin's fingers fly across the salvaged control panel, rerouting power with frantic precision, every second measured in the rising stench of melting circuits. 10 minutes, he barks, voice raw with urgency. After that, this feels just fancy decoration. Across the flickering barrier, the green downpour pools in jagged craters, each drop a tiny explosion of fumes that claw at their visors. Then the screaming starts. Crewman Reavers stumbles back from the perimeter, glove clutched to his chest where the acid has gnawed through his suit. The fabric dissolves like wet tissue, revealing skin that bubbles and blackens on contact with the air itself. Not just the rain, the air. Voss lunges, dragging him inside the faltering field, but the damage is done. Reavers gasps, eyes widening as his own breath betrays him. The truth hits them harder than the storm. Xerxis-IV's atmosphere isn't just toxic, it's alien in a way their biology can't process. One whiff of unfiltered air and human lungs turn to lead. Mara slams a medkit against Reavers' neck, the emergency sealant foaming over the breach. It won't save him, they all know it, but that's not what freezes the crew in place. It's the realization that this planet doesn't just kill, it rewrites the rules. Earth's worst environments, child's play. Even Venus has predictable fury. But Xerxis-IV, its poison isn't an element, it's a language, a chemical code evolved over millennia to say one thing: you do not belong here. Jax's force field sputters, emerald light dancing at the edges. 8 minutes left. Voss watches the storm through the distortion, jaw set. We adapt, simple, unshakable, because humanity's oldest weapon isn't strength or speed. It's ingenuity, that spark that looks at a death sentence and asks, how do we hack it? The crew stares at their dying comrade, then at each other. No words needed. The answer's already forming. In Jax's scavenged tech, in Mara's blood-stained medkit, in the way they stand taller despite the acid eating their world away. Xerxis-IV threw its worst at them, but it forgot one thing: humans don't just survive the impossible. We reverse engineer it. Ryland dies screaming, not from the acid, not from the claws of Xerxis-IV's predators, but from something invisible. His body arches off the medbay table, tendons snapping like overstrung wires, skin splitting as something beneath it moves. Doctor, Lyra Sen's scanner flickers red, her voice barely above a whisper. It's not poison, it's digestion. The readout tells the horror story in cold, clinical terms: alien microbes swarming his bloodstream, breaking down cell walls like they're nothing but organic packaging. A planet that doesn't just kill trespassers, it consumes them. Voss doesn't hesitate. Burn him now. The words taste like ash, but the logic is sound. One corpse left unchecked could seed an entire ecosystem of horrors tailor-made to dissolve human tissue. They torch Ryland's body in a makeshift incinerator, the flames casting jagged shadows against the cave walls. It should be over, but Xerxis-IV isn't done teaching them lessons. The firelight attracts more than shadows. A skittering, clicking resonance echoes through the caverns, building to a crescendo, then stops. Dead silence, that's when the ground trembles. The creature that emerges from the gloom isn't just large, it's wrong. Segmented chitin plates shift like a living puzzle, rearranging to let its bulk squeeze through spaces that should be impossible. Multiple jaws unfold in a grotesque flowering of razor-edged cartilage, dripping with mucus that bubbles where it hits the stone. It doesn't roar, it vibrates, a subsonic hum that rattles their teeth. The beast doesn't attack, it studies them. Then, with terrifying precision, it hooks one hooked appendage around Ryland's half-charred remains and drags them into the dark. Not for food, for something else. Sen's hands shake as she adjusts her scanner. That wasn't hunger, she murmurs. It's collecting data. The realization hits like a plasma round. Xerxis-IV isn't just a death world. It's a laboratory, and humanity, we're the newest specimen under the microscope. Voss exhales slowly, thumb brushing the ignition switch of his flamethrower. Then we give it something new to study. The crew exchanges glances, a silent consensus forming. If this planet learns from every death, they'll make sure the next lesson costs it dearly. The static in Kira's headset isn't just interference, it's a voice. Faint, broken, but undeniably human. Her fingers fly across the console, filtering out the scream of Xerxis-IV's electromagnetic storms until the message resolves into a single, looping phrase: Mayday. Survivors, coordinates, then cuts off. The crew freezes. Survivors here. The math shouldn't add up. No one lasts long enough on this planet to broadcast. Voss runs a hand over his scarred jaw, staring at the coordinates pulsing on the screen. If they're alive, he says slowly, they've cracked this place's code. The unspoken alternative hangs thick in the air, or something's mimicking them. They move at dusk when the acid rains lessen to a corrosive drizzle. The canyon ahead isn't just dangerous, it's designed to be. Razor-spined rock formations lean like broken teeth, their edges serrated enough to slice through reinforced boots. Every shadow pools unnaturally, as if the valley itself is holding its breath. Mara takes point, her rifle's bioscanner painting hazy outlines in the gloom. Life signs, Voss murmurs. She shakes her head. Too much interference, but the signal's stronger. It pulses now, a rhythmic beep, beep, beep that guides them deeper into the fissure. Then the ground gives way. Jax barely yanks Kira back as the floor collapses into a pit of glistening, needle-thin spikes. Not natural stalagmites grown. Their surfaces ripple with bioluminescent veins reacting to movement. A trap too precise, too intentional. Voss kneels at the edge, studying the pattern. This wasn't here for us, he realizes. It's old. The implications settle over them like the planet's toxic mist. Someone or something has been hunting here long before their ship crashed. The beacon's signal suddenly sharpens, now laced with a new frequency. Laughter, human laughter, spliced between bursts of static. Kira pales. That's impossible. The distress code's vintage, pre-first expansion. No one from that era could. A rock shifts above them, then another. The walls aren't stone. They're shells, layers of molted chitin from creatures that outgrew their skins and left them as hollow decoys. And inside those hollows, motion, dozens of segmented limbs unfolding in perfect sync. The beacon's voice changes mid-transmission, the tone shedding all pretense of humanity. Come closer, it croons, the words stitched together from stolen recordings. We've been so lonely. Voss's grip tightens on his weapon. The crew realizes two things at once. One, the signal was never a distress call. Two, the canyon isn't a location, it's a ladder. The first creature drops from above with a sound like rattling bones, and suddenly, survival isn't about beating Xerxis-IV anymore. It's about proving you're not the weakest prey in the food chain. The bunker door groans open on rusted hinges, revealing a chamber lit by flickering bioluminescent fungus crawling up the walls. Colonel Hendrick's silhouette is a jagged cutout against the eerie glow, his rifle steady despite the tremor in his left hand, a tremor that isn't from age. His uniform hangs in tatters, the insignia barely recognizable, but the real shock is his skin. Patches of it gleam slick and dark like oil-slick chitin, blending seamlessly with the human tissue around it. Took you long enough, he rasps, and the voice is almost right, almost human, but there's a wet undercurrent to it, like something learning to mimic speech by dissecting recordings. Mara's finger twitches near her trigger, but Voss signals restraint. The colonel's smile is all teeth, too many teeth, as he steps into the light. His left eye reflects like a cat's. 4 years, he says, tapping the corroded wall with a knuckle that bends just slightly wrong. 4 years watching this place chew up every scrap of humanity I had left. Then I realized you don't fight Xerxis-IV, you merge with it. He pulls a vial from his belt, the liquid inside shifting like it's alive, tendrils of black coiling against the glass. Found this in the deep caves, the planet's answer to our weakness, turns us into something it can't digest. Jax recoils, but Kira leans in, her scientist's curiosity warring with revulsion. You injected that into your bloodstream. Hendrick barks a laugh that cracks into a gurgle. Not injected, negotiated. He rolls up his sleeve, revealing veins pulsing with the same Inkai darkness. First few doses nearly killed me, then the planet started adjusting the formula, like it wanted me to survive. His gaze drifts to the ceiling where something skitters in the ducts. Funny thing, once you're part of the ecosystem, the predators stop seeing you as food. Voss's stomach knots. This isn't a rescue, it's a crossroads. Hendrik sees the hesitation and his grin widens, revealing a flash of something too sharp behind his lips. "Oh, don't look so righteous, Captain. You'll understand soon. When the acid rain melts your last oxygen tank, when your skin starts peeling off from the inside, you'll beg for the bargain I'm offering." His good eye twitches, then rolls back entirely, replaced by a swarming black iris that pulses in time with the vial's contents. The bunker walls breathe. Not a metaphor. The fungal growths expand and contract like lungs, and Hendrik's next words come layered with something else beneath them. "The planet's listening now, always listening. You can die as humans or live as something better. The choice hangs there, poison and salvation twisted together." Outside, the storm wails like a wounded animal, or maybe like something laughing. The syringe glints in the fungal light, its contents writhing like a living thing. Hendrik's grin stretches too wide as he presses it toward Jax. "One dose," he croons, "and the pain stops. The planet stops seeing you as food." Jax knocks the vial aside, glass shattering against the wall, and the black liquid hisses, burrowing into the metal like it's hungry. That's all the warning they get. Shadows detach from the corners. Figures that were once human move with jerking, insectile precision, their limbs bending at angles flesh was never meant to. One grabs Engineer Ruiz by the throat, dragging him backward into the dark before anyone can react. Another, its face half melted into chitin, sinks needle fingers into Kira's shoulder. Her scream echoes as they haul her toward a yawning vent in the floor. Voss's pistol barks, rounds punching through the thing's chest. It doesn't stop. Doesn't even bleed, just laughs with Hendrik's voice layered under its own. "You're not human anymore," Voss snarls, backing toward the tunnel entrance. Hendrik's spine audibly pops as he straightens to his full height, taller now, joints reversing. "Humanity was the flaw," he corrects, syllables clicking. "Here we evolve." His jaw unhinges, a second set of teeth unfolding wetly behind the first. The crew doesn't wait to see what comes next. The tunnels beneath the bunker are veins of carved rock, slick with the same oily residue that pulses in Hendrik's veins. Mara's boot sinks into something soft, a discarded skin suit hollowed out from the inside. The bioscanner shrieks as shapes scuttle above them, their movements synchronized. Not just followers anymore, extensions. The planets will given flesh. Jax pants, gripping his bleeding arm. They're herding us deeper toward the source of the black liquid. Toward whatever negotiation awaits. The walls thrum in response, a deep, organic vibration. Not a threat, an invitation. Voss checks his last incendiary charge. The timer glows red. Then we blow the damn door shut behind us. Above, something that used to be Kira begins to sing. The walls breathe. That's the first thing Mara registers, the tunnel's fleshy surface expanding and contracting like a living throat. Bioluminescent veins pulse overhead, casting jagged shadows that twist with every exhale. Then she sees them, egg sacs, dozens, maybe hundreds, clinging to the organic scaffolding like grotesque fruit. Each one translucent, throbbing with viscous fluid. Inside, shapes writhe humanoid but wrong, too many joints, eyes clustered like insect larvae. One sac ruptures as she watches, spilling a half-formed hybrid onto the spongy floor. Its mouth opens in a silent scream, rows of needle teeth glistening. Dr. Sen's gloved hand clamps over her own mouth, muffling the bile rising in her throat. Not an army, she breathes, a relay. Her scanner flickers, mapping the neural web woven through the Hive's structure, a biological network humming with signals. Every egg, every hybrid, every converted survivor like Hendrik is a node, a single consciousness spreading through Xerxis-IV's poisoned soil like mycelium. Voss sweeps his rifle's light across the chamber, illuminating tendrils that connect each sac to the central mass, the core. That's when Sen freezes. Her bioreader spikes, highlighting a chemical signature buried deep in the pulsating heart of the Hive. There's a counteragent, she whispers, the planet's own kill switch, something the Hive produces to cull defective hybrids. Jax doesn't lower his plasma torch. Defective meaning human. Sen nods, eyes locked on the shifting data. If we can synthesize it, reverse the assimilation process, a wet snap cuts her off. The nearest egg sac splits open, and the creature inside uncoils with terrifying grace. Not fully formed, not needing to be. Its limbs scrape against the tunnel walls as it turns its face, Hendrik's face stretched over Predator's bones, toward them. The Hive knows, the Hive always knows. Voss kicks over a vat of bubbling fluid, sending acidic spray between them and the advancing hybrid. New plan, he growls. We carve our way to that core now. The walls shudder in response, not in fear, in anticipation, because the Hive doesn't just want to consume them. It wants to understand what makes humanity refuse to kneel. And deep in its pulsating heart, the counteragent waits, a paradox wrapped in poison, the planet's final test. The scream that tears from Jax's throat isn't entirely human anymore. It's layered with something else, the Hive's voice, raw and hungry, vibrating through the neural connection he's forced open. His fingers claw at the pulsating biomass, veins standing stark against skin gone gray under the strain. Almost there, the words slur, syllables tangling with static as the Hive digs into his thoughts like roots through rotten wood. Then the lights explode. The entire chamber convulses, bioluminescent veins flashing crimson as Jax's implant overrides the Hive's defenses. For 3 agonizing seconds, the hybrids freeze mid-lunge, their networked minds short-circuiting. Go, Jax roars, blood streaming from his nose. Take it and run. Mara doesn't hesitate. She plunges her hand into the writhing core, the counteragent vial burning cold against her palm. Behind her, Sen drags Voss back as the captain lunges for Jax. Too late. The biomass swallows him, tendrils whipping around his thrashing body like a spider reeling in prey. His last transmission bursts through their comms, not words, but a data dump. Schematics, weaknesses, the Hive's entire blueprint flooding their displays as Jax's mind unravels inside it. The tunnel collapses as they flee, organic stone melting like wax behind them. Voss doesn't look back, can't, the weight in his pocket. That tiny vial of milky liquid feels heavier than a star. Not just a cure, a weapon, Jax's final gift. Above ground, the storm has changed. The acid rain falls in perfect sync now, droplets pausing midair as if listening. The Hive knows what they've stolen, knows what comes next. Voss cracks the vial's seal, the counteragent shimmering with latent potential. We don't just end this, he corrects, watching the horizon ripple with approaching shapes. We burn it all, somewhere beneath them, deep in the Hive's belly. Jax's laughter echoes through 1,000 throats at once. The silence is the first betrayal. After hours of acid-scarred rock and screaming winds, the sudden absence of noise rings louder than any alarm. The caldera stretches before them, a perfect circle of obsidian glass, untouched by storm or claw. At its center, the megastructure juts from the ground like a broken rib, its edges too smooth, too precise to be anything but crafted. Kira stumbles forward, her scanner overloading with symbols that twist like living things under the lens. This isn't a ruin, she breathes. It's active. The glyphs ignite at her touch, luminescent veins snaking across the structure's surface. Dr. Sen traces one with a shaking glove, her translator struggling to parse syntax older than human civilization. Not a lab, she corrects softly, a mausoleum. The hologram erupts without warning, a towering, segmented being with too many limbs, its faceless head bent over a dissection table. The specimen twitches under its tools, human or close enough. Voss's weapon clatters to the glass. They knew we'd come. The projection shifts, showing rows of tanks where other species float in amber fluid, their bodies warped by grotesque modifications. Failures, the being gestures to a planetary model Xerxis-IV, and layers of data cascade around it. Atmospheric toxicity calibrated to 97% fatality. Predator behavior algorithms, genetic recombination protocols. Mara kicks the structure, her boot leaving no mark. They turned a whole damn planet into a test chamber. Kira's screen suddenly stabilizes, locking onto a single phrase in the dead language, trial termination. Subjects demonstrate adaptive recursion. Sen's breath fogs her visor. Don't you see, they didn't expect anything to survive. The ones that did became the real experiment. The hologram flickers, replaying the dissection. The human on the table isn't screaming, it's laughing even as the scalpel peels back its ribs. Above them, the storm wall hesitates at the caldera's edge, swirling like a living barrier. Waiting, the structure thrums beneath their feet, ancient systems powering up, not to kill them, to observe. Voss retrieves his rifle, jaw tight. Then let's give them data worth recording. The detonator feels heavier than it should in Mara's hand. Her thumb hovering over the pulse charge's activation switch. The charges themselves are tucked into the Hive's pulsating veins. Not just explosives, but canisters of Jax's stolen counteragent, ready to turn the planet's own weapon against it. 60 seconds, she whispers, watching the readout flicker. 60 seconds until either salvation or a very specific kind of hellfire. Across the caldera, Kira's arms are elbow-deep in the alien core, her tech gloves sizzling as she rewires systems older than human language. The core doesn't fight her, it watches. Glyphs flare crimson around her wrists, a final message scrolling across the stone. Termination protocol accepted. Voss doesn't wait for the translation. He's busy staring down the barrel of Hendrik's newest form, a nightmare of chitin and stolen flesh. His torso split open to reveal a second, smaller set of limbs grafted where his ribs should be. You're wasting time, the thing that was Hendrik hisses, his voice now a chorus of clicking mandibles and half-remembered human speech. The Hive offers eternity. The stars offer nothing. Behind him, the caldera floor heaves as a dozen hybrids claw their way to the surface, their movements too synchronized to be individual. Too perfect, Mara's charge beeps 30 seconds. Voss exhales, rolling the counteragent vial between his fingers. You're right, he admits, stepping closer. The stars don't offer anything. Then he lunges, driving the needle straight into Hendrik's exposed spinal column. We take it. The effect is instantaneous. Hendrik's body convulses, his stolen limbs flailing as the counteragent races through the Hive's neural web. The hybrids shriek, clutching their heads as if the sound could drown out the collapse of their shared mind. Kira's final keystroke triggers the core's overload sequence, the ancient machine screaming like a living thing as its energy reverses. The glyphs shatter. The ground splits, and for one breathtaking moment, the entire caldera is lit by the Hive's death, throws a network of bioluminescent veins detonating in chain reactions, each burst purging the infection from the planet's flesh. The biomass liquefies, steaming where it touches the obsidian glass, and the wind carries the scent of something almost like rain. The escape pod's hatch hisses open behind them, its systems blinking online for the first time in centuries. Voss doesn't look back as he drags Kira inside. There's nothing left to see. Xerxis-IV's lesson was simple after all. Humanity doesn't conquer death worlds. We outlast them, then we light the match on our way out. The escape pod tears free from Xerxis-IV's gravity, well, just as the planet's crust splits open like an overripe fruit, vomiting streams of molten biomass into the void. Behind them, the megastructure's detonation blooms across the viewscreen, a silent, crawling fire that devours every trace of the Hive, the hybrids, and the ancient horrors buried beneath the acid storms. Kira's fingers tremble against the console as the shockwave rattles their hull, her reflection warped in the glass. No one expected humans to survive that planet, she murmurs, watching the last emerald storms collapse into cosmic dust. Voss doesn't answer at first. He's too busy staring at the neural chip in his palm, Jax's final work, scavenged from the ruins of the Eclipse's wreckage. Its surface glitches faintly, flickering with residual Hive signatures, not corrupted, hijacked. A grin cuts across his face, sharp as a scalpel. Now they'll have to expect it. The pod's thrusters flare, slingshotting them toward the glimmer of distant colony lights. But the real victory isn't in the escape, it's in the quiet. No static, no whispers, no itch beneath their skin where the Hive's presence used to hum. Mara peels back her sleeve, checking the injection site where the counteragent flooded her veins. The blackened veins have receded, but the memory hasn't. She flexes her fist, half expecting her knuckles to split open into chitin. They don't, Doctor. Sen leans over Kira's shoulder, studying the chip's erratic readouts. You realize what this is, don't you? Her voice is steady, but her eyes are alight with something fiercer than relief. A backdoor into every Hive-connected system in the sector. The implications hang there, vast and humming. Humanity didn't just survive a death world, we cracked its encryption. Outside, the stars blur into streaks of light. Somewhere in the dark, Xerxis-IV's siblings orbit dozens of worlds stamped with the same warning, uninhabitable. The pod's comm system crackles to life, a colonial beacon pinging their approach. Voss pockets the chip. The message is already coded in their bones, in the way they sit taller despite the ghosts clinging to their ribs. Next time, the universe won't be so surprised. The docking clamps hiss as Orion Station's med team floods the pod in a blur of sterile suits and flashing scanners. Kira staggers into their grip, her vitals flickering across 3 different monitors at once. Dr. Sen doesn't resist when they peel back her collar to expose the blackened veins, just locks eyes with Voss across the chaos. The captain stands rigid, his own arms held slightly away from his body, sleeves rolled up to reveal the luminescent tracery beneath his skin. The Hive's last gift, or its last joke, full decon protocols, barks the lead medic, reaching for Voss's wrist. The captain steps back, a movement so small it's almost polite. No, that single word carves the room in half. The medics freeze. The station's security detail tenses, hands drifting toward stun rods. Voss doesn't raise his voice. Run your scans from there. His smile doesn't reach his eyes. Unless you'd like to test how contagious this really is. The bluff works, barely. They're quarantined instead of arrested, sealed behind glass while officials in spotless uniforms fire questions like pulse rounds. What happened on Xerxis-IV? Where's the rest of your crew? Why is the planet now a radioactive scar? Voss lets Mara handle the lies. His attention is on the newsfeed flickering beyond the glass. Footage of Xerxis-IV's corpse spinning silently in the void, captioned with bland corporate jargon, unexplained geological event. The chyron beneath it screams louder. Survivors claim alien biosystem classified by order of Orion Security Council. Sen's fingers brush his elbow. They're already drafting research teams, she murmurs, nodding to a cluster of scientists huddled with station brass. One of them holds a familiar data chip, Jax's work. Voss's jaw tightens, not for study. His voice is gravel under boots, for replication. The escape is almost too easy. Station security isn't trained to watch for people who should be dead. A spliced door here, a diverted camera there, and suddenly they're ghosts in Orion's underbelly, ducking into maintenance shafts that stink of engine grease and recycled air. Kira cracks the first access panel, her hands steady despite the way her pupils still contract in sync with the station's lighting cycles. They'll burn the whole sector looking for us, she whispers. Voss pockets the stolen data chips, the real ones, scrubbed of everything but the Hive's final transmission. A single looping phrase buried under layers of encryption, adapt or die. Behind them, a ventilation grate rattles, too rhythmic to be machinery, too deliberate to be rats. Mara doesn't turn around, she doesn't need to. The scent hits first, wet chitin and something sickly sweet like rotting fruit. Then the voice, wet and buzzing from a shadow that has too many joints. You left so fast. The galactic feeds will keep spinning their lies. The corporations will keep digging up graves better left buried. But in the dark between stations where the laws don't reach, the real war's just beginning. And humanity's oldest weapon, that stubborn, screaming refusal to kneel, is about to face its sharpest test